Ron from Rohde Law, and today we're excited to sit down with a client of mine, Rupa Keskar. She is an industrial triple net investor based here in North Texas, and she's just got an amazing story of how she started in the W-2 professional world. She transitioned to multifamily and ultimately ended up in industrial, which is now her favorite asset class. So stay tuned if you're interested in learning about what it takes to become an industrial investor. Rupa, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I gave that intro, but I really think it doesn't do justice to your background. Can you just tell us a little bit of your career and, the different stages and how you ended up in industrial?
Yeah. So I have an IT background. My bachelor's in computer science and master's in computer science as well. Actually stayed in that field for quite some time, almost 20 years. And my foray into real estate started because we were looking for tax opportunities. It used to be that my husband on April 15th would be looking for strategies to find ways of saving on taxes. And we were having a conversation with a friend who said, look into real estate. There are tax benefits. You take it to a bank. And then at the same time, this is when Warren Buffett was talking about how his secretary has lower tax rates than him.
Or higher tax rates. She pays more in taxes.
Hers is higher. That's right, yeah. So we're like, well, how does that happen? So my husband came back and was like, he does real estate. I'm like, well, why don't we do real estate? And, one day it was like, work was just not fun. It's like, let me look into that real estate investing thing.
I think that's universally true. I think everybody would agree with that. Work is not fun, unless you're somebody like me that gets to.
It is now.
Okay, but you have to choose the work to make it fun.
Yeah.
So then what was your first real estate venture? What did you start to learn through the process about the process?
So on the day that I looked up and there's a local real estate investing group here, and I found them. I went to a free seminar that day. Just the stars were all aligned. My husband traveled a lot, but he happened to be home that day, so I got to go, and I love what I heard. So,
do you want to say the name?
Of course,
Okay.
I'm a member of Lifestyles Unlimited.
Okay.
I joined 11 years ago, and so I love what they said. And when I went to the 2-day class, I was so excited about being a real estate investor. They only focus on single family and multifamily. But I called my husband on my way back after the first full day, and said, I want to do this. And 2 months later, after taking some classes, I quit my job to
Wow.
be a real
So
estate.
you were really 2 feet in right away.
Failure was not an option.
That's great. I mean, we were kind of talking about that before the episode, in that multifamily has just exploded. And, to some degree, SFR, I think, has always had this. So single family residential has always had this kind of education gurus before we started calling them gurus. But SFR has had that for a while.
Yes.
My parents used to show me newspaper ads, and it's like, buy this house with zero down, put a tenant in, and cash flow.
Yeah.
And that was around. But for multifamily, relatively new. But I mean, do you put them in that same category as gurus, or what was the learning process like that made you so confident? I mean, you're a smart person, but how did it transform you so quickly?
Yeah, what I liked about real estate and that program is, a lot of people will say, do real estate and make money. I actually met with some realtors before, but I didn't really know how to go about it. So the program holds your hand and teaches you step by step. And then they've got classes and they go through the description. If you do this, this happens. I'm a programmer. I like the if-then-else scenario. So I'm still a programmer at heart. I can still write code. Okay. So that makes sense. It's logical. It's something that you can can derive costs and effect from.
So you felt like they were giving you a playbook or a strategy that was if if X then Y.
Yeah, there's a
and
formula to it. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not overnight success.
But it is simple.
It's simple, exactly.
Okay, interesting. So they took a complicated concept like investing in commercial real estate and they made it very, very simple. Do you feel like everything they said was accurate now that you've emerged on the other side as a battle veteran?
It was accurate, but there's still some learning that you have to do on your own, that you just have to experience, no matter how much how many classes you take, how many spreadsheets you look at, all the process, certain things you just have to do to learn.
Gotcha. So you signed up for Lifestyles, you loved it, you did the camp. When was your first deal, and how did you fund the first multifamily?
So the first deal was actually as a passive investor, being a guarantor, key principal, just to get your one of the mortgage brokers call it, your country club entry stamp. And so that was my first deal as a syndicator, as a lead investor, sponsor, GP, whatever you want to call it, was a 32 unit.
Okay. So relatively pretty small. I mean, even if it's 120 unit, I mean, it's a small deal.
It was a small deal, which was back then. The price was $32,000 per unit.
I was trying to inflate it, but
This is in 2012.
What a deal.
It was a deal. So I had 3 passive partners just to again get the experience of being a lead investor, being a sponsor, getting used to communicating with investors. So that was my first deal, which was, met with the inspectors and trying to get a list of what the CapEx is going to be. I pretty much went with what's broken, you fix it. And then, I learned later is you want to have a vision for it. You want
absolutely. I think that value add creation chain is what all the gurus are pitching now is, paint it agreeable gray, throw in the LVP, the vinyl flooring, and then raise the rents by $500 a month. That's the mantra. Okay. Yeah. So how did that deal turn out? That
turned out great. We made we made a 33% annualized return on that deal. Sold in 2 years because it's too small and difficult to manage.
Of course, That's definitely one thing I would think that's different from multifamily versus industrial is that you can self-manage single tenant net lease properties much, much easier, even as a working professional W-2 versus in multifamily. What do you think your cutoff is for full-time, like on-site manager?
For multifamily, you have to be where you can, the deal makes sense with a full-time property manager.
So like around 80 units?
Yeah, at least if it's cheap, then you'd have to go 100 units. Like units, my second deal was in Sherman, Texas, which was 100 units, and the rents are lower, so you have to be at higher units to have a full-time property manager. I sold that property to the 100 units because still too small.
But do you still feel like you sold too early? Looking back, when was this first deal? You said it was 10 years ago?
That was done in 2012.
Imagine if you held that Sherman property until 2022.
Yeah, no, I have no regrets selling the Irving property was the 32 unit. Sold it because it was too small. It was taking up a lot of my time. I self-manage. And I had part-time manager. And then the Sherman property was 100 units. At least I could have a full-time, good quality manager. That sold in 2020. So,
so you still at a good time.
I got it really.
That's great.
Yeah, that one was 58% annualized.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of these first world problems, but I'm in the same boat. So we just kind of accepted an offer, sent out the DocuSign, and should be coming back on one of our industrial properties to sell, and I'm torn because I'm like, why do I want to sell? It's such, you get that seller's remorse instantly. once it gets agreed upon. But I appreciate that, note of confidence. No, it was the right time to sell. No regrets.
Yeah.
Because I do believe in the trajectory. But if the price is there, you just sell and redeploy the capital. So.
The capital and your time.
All right. So I think that's a great story, not having regrets about selling because something at the time doesn't fit your time expenditure and maybe the size is a criteria. So you sold those 2 properties. What have you done since then? And have you still invested in multifamily?
I have. So we'll go quickly because I've done 6 multifamily deals so far. So after the 100 went 3 times the size to 327 units, and that's actually under contract to sell right now.
Congrats.
And every month, it takes a while to close multifamily deals. Every time we have our financials for the month, it's like, well, the numbers keep getting better. We shouldn't have sold it. But we are actually selling at a top of the market price.
The rates just went up last month too.
Yeah,
this month. So
still,
it's hard to...
We have a 10-year loan on it, so it was one that
for your
we...
buyers. How about your buyers for their rate lock if they didn't necessarily?
Right, yeah. They have a specialty in it and with the city, with property tax, so it still makes sense for them. They were willing to pay higher than market. So, we felt that it wouldn't have been prudent for us, for our investors to keep holding it for a longer period of time. So we reluctantly agreed to sell and still make 58% annualized return, that one as well.
Yeah.
So, and then we've done a couple others as the deal size got larger. I still like to travel, and invariably when you have something under contract is when, things come up. You always get things under contract when you have travel plans, and we travel a lot. So I do have a business partner on the multifamily side, and we've done 4 deals together after the 2 that I did by myself. And so, yeah.
That's great.
That's the multifamily story.
You've had all this multifamily success. You've gone full cycle. I think taken advantage of a great time of cap rate compression and no knock against the industry, but there has been a lot of people that made a lot of money solely based on cap rate compression and interest rates dropping. But now that you've done that, why industrial now? Yeah.
So it was after the sale of the second property. And on the first property, you again, the reason I came into real estate was taxes. So looking for ways of saving taxes, I did attempt to do a 1031 exchange after the sale of the first property. So we put the money with the intermediary, but just couldn't find properties that made sense within the 45 days where you had to name the properties.
The identification.
Yeah, and so if I named it and then didn't do it, we have to have the money there for another, I think it was 180 days before you can get the money out. So we gave up on that, took the money out and distributed it. On the second one, considered again, but because multifamily is so crazy, you're selling at a high price, you're also buying at a high price, right? So, and now you have partners involved, and I have great partners. I'm lucky in the sense that I have a consulting background, so I try to anticipate questions. So I'm lucky that I don't have painful passives because I try to anticipate questions and answer before.
And these are from your GP partners or more your LP?
LP partners.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
LP
so you're
partners.
very proactive on the LP side.
Communication.
What are we doing with this money? And what do we do if we can't find something? And
that's great. So
Okay.
I don't get. So on the second one, we attempted to do 1030. Well, we didn't. We looked into it. We considered it, but with everybody having made so much money, we held the property for 6 years. Now you put $100,000, you've got $400,000 to put into one property, and a lot of people were not comfortable with that. And
Well, you can't identify multiple properties. I'll put my 1031.
It was hard enough to find one, right? So
That's true.
So
It just compounds your problem
yeah, exactly.
to deleverage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then looking at what setting up to be able to do 1031 exchanges in the future.
Yeah.
And looking at do small deals, larger deals, and looking at industrial, because I had heard a few experts who talked about industrial is the next big thing.
Who are these experts? I want to find. Were they on
Yeah.
YouTube? Were they Twitter?
No, these are usually guests at multifamily events or
saying the next big thing is going to be industrial. Multifamily has ridden the wave, and the wave is still high, but nobody thinks it's accelerating as before. I think there's a lot of concern about the ability to continue to climb.
Right.
It's not crashing, but it's cresting.
Yeah. So looking to do then a deal on our own so that we can in the future, hold it forever if we wanted to, because now we're not worrying about investors, or do 1031 exchange, have that opportunity. So possibility was to do a small multifamily, but I don't want to go there again. No more tenants, toilets, and termite.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, who do I know? Who knows industrial? Nobody. But I called Nick Fluellen, Marcus and Millichap. It's like, Nick, do you know somebody who does industrial? It's like, sure, we have somebody in our office. And he introduced me to Adam.
Yeah, well, I'd love to have Adam. A shout out, I'm going to email you for Adam to come onto the show, because I think, his career trajectory has done great. I've kind of watched his name pop up a few times, and done a few deals, and then he's grown to be quite large now, and multi-state and stuff.
Yeah.
But okay, so you got introduced to Adam, who started bringing you some deals.
Yeah. So Adam was very helpful, given that I had no experience whatsoever in industrial. I tried to look for gurus like there were in multifamily, but at the time, 3 years ago now, there weren't any who were doing. You can look up, for example, multifamily. You'll come up with these mentoring groups. You look up. There are these experts that come up with self-storage, right? There are certain names that you hear again and again. There are people who do, even for a while there, home health care, like the assisted living or senior living type facilities. There are gurus for that, but there weren't any in industrial who
Why
did
do you think
mentoring.
that is? Why do you think there's a gap in the market?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know.
I'll tell you why.
Okay, yeah.
They're all busy out there making money.
But
They're still buying deals.
That's true.
And there's more money to be made buying and selling or just holding industrial than there is to be selling courses or selling a mastermind.
For sure. So I wouldn't want to start one. So I certainly appreciate the YouTube videos that you put out there.
Yeah, there's a small but growing contingency of social media creators, for lack of a better word. I'll give a shout out, Chad Griffiths, my good friend. He's a huge YouTuber, but solely posting on industrial real estate. And there are starting to be a couple of other brokers that we know that focus on industrial real estate. I think I'm the only attorney, maybe. But, there's a couple other investors that are kind of documenting their journey doing industrial to self-storage conversions, which are pretty massive projects, but very profitable. Yeah. They're buying for like $30 a foot. Yeah. And then if they exit their self-storage, it's $100 a foot. Yeah. With $20 a foot renovation costs. Yeah. So it's pretty incredible, those opportunities, if they can find it. But okay, so you met with Adam Ashberger with Marcus and Millichap, who is still there, by the way, which is pretty impressive after all this time. Yeah. We'll drop his information down below if you want to reach out and get on his email list. So he brought you your first industrial deal. Tell me about it. What was it? Was it a manufacturing, flex,
Yeah.
distribution?
So the first deal that Adam actually, in his process, was really, like I said, very helpful because I didn't know what to ask for, which is the first thing.
Yeah.
First step is, what are you looking for? I have no idea. So we did a Zoom call. We looked at what was in LoopNet, and he is so knowledgeable about what's in town because he sold it multiple times to multiple buyers.
Yeah.
He's been through the process. So he's like, nope, that one's too expensive, which I really appreciate. And I'm like, nope, that one
So what, at this point, you're just looking at freestanding metal buildings.
Yeah,
These are
like,
just truss, non-sprinkler stuff. It's
right.
Okay.
So,
I'm trying to paint a picture because I'm going to assume that our viewers, they're either industrial investors or they're just like you, and you keep saying, I don't know these different types, but I'm trying to put some key words. So if you're listening, these are the words that you can Google. And if
shallow bay,
Class B industrial, light industrial, what the heck does that mean? But if you start Googling it, you'll see examples of these buildings, and that's what Rupa is looking at, which will give you some context because one of the biggest misconceptions that I get is people say, oh, I want to buy industrial. I'm like, okay, cool, like what? And they'll say, just like an Amazon building. I'm like, do you have $74 million? Because that's what it costs at a, previously it was like 4.2 cap for Amazon. Everybody loves Amazon. That same size building, same rent, if it's leased to FedEx, it's like a 4.8 cap. And you're like, what the heck? Well, Amazon is not so special. Like they just think that Amazon will go bankrupt after FedEx, or Amazon will compete with FedEx and start doing delivery. They already are doing a lot of delivery. But it's just crazy. And so people didn't know. And they said, okay, well, maybe not that. Maybe like a smaller Amazon building. I'm like, you still cannot really buy those. And maybe they have some last mile stuff. But curiously enough, I've seen them, a lot of those leases are going dark.
Yeah.
They signed a ton of leases. They overexpanded. And on the smaller last mile stuff, maybe 20, 30,000 square feet, they're not even taking possession. They're just putting it back on the market. So those are bad situations for the landlord. They only have guarantees, for the base rent, maybe for the first couple years. So you're looking at this shallow bay. I'm painting the picture of tan, RPAN metal, or maybe this is concrete block. And these are the dirty kind of everyday industrial buildings. But what did you think? I mean, what was your reaction? Was it just, I love this stuff, I want to buy that?
Okay. So the first one that he brought to me, I drove it. It's like, it doesn't look like the pictures. And it was going to be a single tenant, and the lease wasn't signed. So we scrapped that one very quickly. It was in McKinney, which is where I lived, very close to my house, like 3 miles. Very close to the historic district in McKinney. Small, 5,000 square feet property. It was smaller than what I was looking for, but I was like, I want to learn the business. It's perfect for learning the business.
And that's a great point. I tell this to everybody, is that your first deal, especially in a new asset class, is not to make money. Your return is by learning, and hopefully you learn a lot that doesn't cost you money, and hopefully you still make money. But I think as a goal, you're not trying to hit a home run on the first deal. You're really just trying to learn. And you can do that maybe as an LP on a multifamily deal, or you can be a co-GP on a multifamily, or if you're an industrial, maybe buy a smaller deal that you can just get in and out of, break even, collect the rent, collect the depreciation, and then exit. Okay, so 5,000 square feet. What was the total site? How many?
So it was very small. I think less than half an acre. Few parking spots. But like I said, I got really lucky with that deal. It's close to my house. Price was right. Well, luck is what you make out of it, right? Because I'll tell you what happened right after closing too. Not so lucky, but it's still going to it's still going to be a home run. So 6 units, but only 4 tenants because some of them had double units.
Right,
so
but it was 100% occupied.
It was 100% occupied when I bought it. I bought it in the height of COVID, right? Businesses climbed, but most of them were essential businesses. They were open. One of them was manufacturing, assembling guitars, expensive guitars. But you remember in COVID, everybody was a musician, except for me. I can't sing. I'm tone deaf. But I was like, oh, this business is doing well. When we toured it, it's like, oh, we're so busy. We cannot show you. We don't have time. Just go look around. Well, after closing, he paid rent for a month. And then the second month, he was late in paying rent. And then I get an email at the end of the month saying, I've emptied the unit. He's got a double unit. So out of my 6 units, 2 are vacant now.
Wow.
Right after closing, I bought this because it was going to be easy. It was 100% occupied. And but anyway, I wasn't prepared to lease it. I didn't know how to lease. I didn't know where to go lease. I didn't have signs. I didn't have anything.
So then you very quickly learned the difference between investment sales broker and your leasing broker, who are often not the same person.
No.
And the person that sold you the deal, oh yeah, I'm an industrial broker. I can't help you find tenants though. And it's sometimes a rude awakening. Again, people coming maybe from the SFR world where the agent, the real estate agent who sold you the house, they also help you find a tenant.
Right.
And it's very kind of fluid in that the people who help or represent investors do both of those things.
Right.
But industrial and most asset classes, it is not the same skill set at all.
Yeah.
So.
Well, for smaller deals, I find that many of the tenants don't work with brokers.
Yep, that's very true.
So they come directly. Fortunately, I was able to lease it within a couple of months. And this was during the holiday season, too. This happened in November, end of November. So I've got this Christmas time that nobody wants to be looking.
Yeah.
And but I found a tenant. This tenant that skipped had a 3-year lease with no rent increases, below market. So he did me a favor by skipping because.
And if you look at the bright side too, I would even say at least he vacated the unit.
Yes.
He didn't trash it on his way out.
Yes.
And he communicated with you, which is more than I can say for some big companies. They just want to put their head in the sand, and they're like, if I don't respond to the landlord's lawyer, then nothing bad can happen. I'm like, that's not true. But it's frustrating. It's hard for the landlord to make decisions with zero communication, even if they're going to end up doing a move out.
Yeah.
Communicate. So on the positives, I would say at least he did give you those things. It could have been worse.
Yes, definitely.
So.
And like I said, new tenant, higher rent, rent increases every year. Pay for their own water.
Yeah.
And so it worked out fine.
See, so that's great. So you had a net positive experience with the first deal. And then, I mean, what really attracts you to industrial still? I mean, I would say that's positive, but why industrial over multifamily, given that you could do both?
Yeah. I'm still underwriting multifamily deals, but nothing has made sense for me since 2018. That was the last multifamily deal that I did. Still looking, but hopefully there's opportunity.
Do you feel any change in your underwriting, though? Because you could have bought a lot of stuff from 2018 all the way through 2020, even 2021, and sold it in 2022.
Made a lot of money. So I like to, we're not always looking for home runs, right? So I realize returns are going to be lower now compared to 2012, 2013 when I did my first deal. But I'm looking for less return, which is fine, but lesser risk as well.
Sure.
So what I like about industrial is triple net deals, right? Where I'm able to pass on the expenses that's a huge risk, especially right now.
With property taxes.
We
I'll
got
say what is on the tip of your
valuation.
tongue. It is huge. And I think that's something that we talk about a lot. And I think in the online community, Florida has an issue with insurance. Texas has property taxes.
We have insurance issues too. Both. We've got both.
Oh, we have got both, yeah. At least we don't have hurricanes. We have no casualty. But it's really interesting what people's approaches are, because to me, the triple net structure is the best way. the tenant is in the best position to pass those costs on to the consumer, and they know what they should spend their time on if I want to protest or if I want to do this. And for me as a landlord, yes, I mean, we can protest just on a general, but they may be the ones that really instigate it vigorously or protest vigorously. So that risk mitigation, that's a great point. What else is attractive about industrial?
I like building a relationship with my tenants. When you get calls from multifamily, somebody's very angry and usually shouting. When I call my tenants now, they're like, "Are we good? Or is everything okay?" We're like, "Oh,
Do I owe you
good.
money?
Yeah,
That's
do I owe you money?"
That's what I
yeah,
love. They're like, "Oh, do I owe you money? Just send us an invoice." And I was like, "Oh no, you're good. You're current."
Yeah, it's exciting when they're making changes, tenant improvement. They're opening their shop, and you get to go check it out.
Yeah.
Be part of that. Growth, get to see what's going on, and then having communication with them and knowing what they want to do. Where I'm having conversation with one of my tenants right now who's looking for more spaces, and it's like, well, tell me what you want, I'll just buy it. And they don't want to buy, they don't want to own.
That's fascinating. I've had a couple of situations like that too, where we've looked and said, if you find a vacant building, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Because tenant in tow is one of the best things. And so if you're leading with the tenant, you can build a concentrated, I'd say there's more risk there, doubling down on a tenant. But if you've done the underwriting, why not invest more capital with something that you believe in? That the downside is still very limited.
Yeah, because you know the tenant, they pay rent, you know how they maintain their property.
Okay, so that seems like a lot in favor with industrial. I think it's great. I agree with everything. I love industrial. I put my money where my mouth is. For new people watching this, I'm an investor as well, so I only own industrial triple net properties in DFW, but it's really kind of a culmination that you still have to chop the wood. You still have to do all the steps, but I think I'm very bullish on the future of industrial, in particular in DFW, in Texas. I think there's a lot of room for pricing and rents to go in industrial. Do you have any parting words of wisdom? What would you want to say to your earlier version, let's call it 10 years ago? What advice would you have for that investor starting out?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I would have done is put my money into my own deals back then. I was trying to save money for the next deal. Well, if a good deal comes, just do it. Makes sense. Know what you want. Create that box for yourself, right? So that you can say, nope, don't want to go that far. Nope, don't want to do single tenant properties. No property older than a certain age, whatever it is. Know what you want. Do your education. At some point, you're going to be as prepared as you can be, even as an LP. You learn. You can only learn by doing. That's just it. Start small.
So that's the advice.
There are going to be lessons.
What Rupa is referring to is your buy box. And the buy box is usually very short, 1 page, half a page of bullet list criteria that you can't create the buy box, though, without buying something and knowing what your pain points are, though. So it's almost chicken and the egg. I feel like, in multifamily, you'll say we don't buy 1960s product because of flat roofs. How do you know whether that's pain you want to take on for the risk? Because those Class C units are cheaper and they make just as much rent, but they are a pain to deal with. And flat roofs, they always leak. There's no ifs, it's when. But for industrial, the number of variables is probably like 50.
Yeah.
And in multifamily, I feel like maybe there's half, and you have the benefit of gurus to tell you what they think you should set as your buy box. In industrial, there's twice as many options and no guide.
Yeah. Well, like you said earlier, right? You want to have contacts who can teach you these things. So some of this things. You're just going to have to do a small deal, like you said earlier.
So you're offering. So everybody that's watching, if you have questions, I'm going to put Rupa's email down below, and you can email her with questions.
There were a lot of people who helped me out when I started, and I'm happy to
That's right. You can also email me.
yes.
I have a consultation link down below as well. But no, I really appreciate the time, Rupa. It was really interesting to hear your story from multifamily, or from W-2 to multifamily and then industrial, and why you like industrial now, and that return on your time invested, your equity is really key. And I think that really resonates, for me personally too, because I've got 2 young kids. I was getting married. I was starting my law practice. Right. I had a portfolio of SFR. I was like, I don't want 6 property manager issues, rent renewals every year. I didn't want to deal with it. And it was that return on my time that I could deploy a larger check size into fewer deals. And yeah, it's turned out great. I mean, I love industrial.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have gone into multifamily, but it doesn't necessarily solve those problems. And I saw multifamily as just bigger and more of the same SFR problems. When you're dealing with the place that somebody lives, it's always an emotional fight. Versus the business, it's just business.
Well, the other thing is, if you raise rents on businesses, they can raise prices on what they're offering, right? If you raise rents on somebody who has a W-2 job or hourly job in the service industry, they can't just go and
make more money.
Not very easily, right?
That's fair. So. That's a good point. All right. Well, that's it for this interview with Rupa Keskar, Prasiti Investments. If you guys have any future questions, you can contact me. I'll put her information down below. Otherwise, smash that like button, and we'll see you next time.